if you don't have it.
Well, the only one I have is, I mean, I saw your note. And then the only one I have is for the practice one that we did with Mia. And then it said that was expired.
Did you go into, okay, I'll send it again.
Because I looked from Growing Hope. Hi. Just talked to TC.
Yeah, he called me.
He sounds good.
Who's there?
Hello?
Hi, TC.
So did you
All right.
Hello?
Resend everybody.
Can you see me?
I can't see. No, I cannot see you.
Okay, let me try that again.
Okay, I might have to cut you loose now. Let me call you.
I can see you now, TC. Hi. Hi, Norris. Hi, Mia.
Hi.
Hi.
How y'all doing? How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Hello?
Thank you so much for being here, Norris. I know it was last minute, a little bit getting connected
No
there.
problem. No problem.
All right.
Oh, angle you here, and like I was saying,
All right. So we're just going to wait for a couple more people to hop on before I give it over to Cynthia. Obviously, Cynthia needs to be on.
Hi.
Hello?
So we're just waiting on TC, Alex, and Tefira.
We have TC.
Oh, I'm here.
Sorry, Jesse, Alex. And Tefira.
Oh, hi, Alex.
You're psyched.
Hello, Norris.
There we go.
Hello, Alex. Hello,
How's it going?
Norris. I'm
Good.
doing all right, yourself.
Good. Glad to hear that. Glad to hear that.
No wonder I couldn't get it yet.
not yet. It's different.
I had to hustle half of the time.
All right, who? Okay.
Enter your participant ID followed by pound. Otherwise, check. You have entered the meeting as a panelist. Attendees can now hear you speak.
Oh, no, recording.
Yeah, it's recording.
Alex.
We have proof.
What's up, Norris?
All right, man. Good. Doing good.
Good to see you.
Look at this. It's a panelist party.
Yes.
Liz, do you want to
Make you the host.
make me the host? Not yet, maybe. We have other people coming. So you guys, I don't know how many are going to show up, but we have over 200 who have registered. So a lot of people want to hear from you. So TC, well, maybe we can wait a little bit, but TC is going to be the main moderator, and sort of run the schedule.
Okay.
What does this say? Is it?
Can you hear everybody good?
I'm perfect.
Yes.
Okay, so if you need me, I'm in the corner over there.
All right. Okay.
Do you see, do we have a panelist that's on?
It's not a
I'm
panel.
sorry. Do we have an attendee that's on?
I'm responding to her right now.
Oh, we have 2 attendees.
Well, Sarah's one of them.
Right. And then there's a Sarah Balk. Maybe she's early. Oh, okay. Good note. Sorry, we already have a panelist on. It's like, or not a panelist, I mean an attendee.
I'm gonna just text T and Jesse and make sure that they know to come on.
So, and you guys, but depending on the time, we're gonna allow for some questions at the end. And TC is running most of this, but at the end, I will, if there are some questions from the audience and we still have some time, then I will feed you the questions. I will say them. And Sarah, who you see her picture here, Sarah, she works for Growing Hope. She's gonna help with the kind of as the questions come in, if questions come in. And TC, you're gonna tell people in the beginning that if they have questions, they can put it in the chat.
Sure will.
Okay, great. And that hopefully by the end. So Norris, how are you doing?
Good. Bored. It's been a tough winter,
Yeah.
but I'm
Have you
bored, but I feel good. Yes.
Are you, have you had an opportunity to get the vaccine, and did you want to do that or no?
No, I didn't want to do it, so I haven't. No. Not at this point.
Right. So you're gonna wait.
Yes. There are probably more needy people that need it than I do. I'm pretty much isolated in my lifestyle. I mean, I don't come in contact with a whole lot of people.
Right. Right. So you didn't go to Florida this year?
I did go briefly to South Carolina, where I usually go.
Oh, South Carolina.
I
knew you
went
were
through the
south.
holidays. Yeah, I went through the holidays, and then I came back. The second week in January. Yeah.
But you didn't
I
stay
stayed
as
about
long-
a month.
About a month.
Yeah.
But you didn't stay as long as you normally do.
No, I didn't. I usually stay till the middle, almost the end of March.
Wow. Man.
I went the 15th of December. Usually go just before Christmas. Come back around the end of March.
That's nice.
But
Do
I
you have
didn't
family
stay as
there?
long. No, just friends.
Just friends. What part of South Carolina?
A place called Abbeville, South Carolina. It's like, what do I want to say? It's not down on the coast where everybody goes all the time. It's up in the northwest corner of the state.
Right, pretty.
Maybe it's the southwest corner. I can't remember. We're right on the Savannah River.
Oh,
Right, Georgia's the other side of the river.
yeah. That must be beautiful.
So it is nice, very pretty. There's a big lake there. Like I say, there's the Savannah River. A lot of fishing, boating, camping. You know, riding RVs around through there. There's 2 state parks there. So there's a lot of recreational things in that area.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. So we're waiting on, do you think we should reach out to,
I just texted T. She said she didn't know that we were going to be on at 6. She'll be on in about 5 or 10 minutes.
okay, great, no problem.
Having trouble finding the link, so I just resent it to him. So
Jesse?
Mhm.
Yeah, I know, I couldn't find the link at first either, so. Okay, good. So do any of you know Jess or Tefira? Well, Alexander, Alexander, do you go by Alexander or Alex?
I go by Alex usually,
Yeah.
but I don't really care. You
Okay.
know, my parents and my grandma calls me Alexander, and if I say Alex, they get mad at me.
Yeah.
So
I have a brother, Alexander, but we all call him Alex too. And same thing, it was only really when he was in trouble that he was Alexander.
yeah, yeah. And for me, it's a family name. Alexander is my grandmother's maiden name.
Oh, yeah.
So in our face, I was like, no, the full name. So you know,
Yeah.
I'm respectful to my elders. And but for people my age, I go by Alex.
Yeah, I have a daughter who her name is my mother-in-law's last name, Hadley.
Okay, nice.
Yeah,
I like that.
yeah.
I like that.
So how have you been? How's your,
I'm
do you have
doing
much going
fantastic.
on in your hoop houses yet?
Yeah, we're going all year round now. We don't
Yeah.
stop.
Wow,
It's I had about a month where it was a little slower, but
right.
we were still distributing. We never
Wow.
stopped. I stopped
Yeah.
for Christmas. I took Christmas break off
Right.
and went hiking and stuff. But no, we're just going for time,
Wow.
walking along. The CSA. I've been stealing the CSA the last few years. It's at a point now where it's fairly large. So
Yeah.
it's getting to a spot now where it's actually doing pretty well.
That's
So I've
great.
been staying around. That's yeah.
And your
I'm pretty happy with it.
CSA is year round.
That's correct. Yeah, it's a year-round flexible CSA, and yeah, we have about 50 members right now, and we'll probably get to about 75 this summer, and try to keep around there for the next, as long as I can.
And so this time of year, what are you harvesting?
Yeah, so we're bringing to the CSA all the greens, so
Yeah.
spinaches, arugula, bok choys, a few other greens. But also, we have a lot of storage crops. So in the coolers, I have winter radishes, turnips, beets, and carrots that were just about that we harvested last fall. That we're almost running out. So we're just trying to make it to mid-March. If we can get there,
Right.
then the tunnel take over.
Wow.
So yeah, we do a lot of cabbages in the winter right now. So we do a lot of Asian Napa cabbages are going out to members. So yeah, it's going pretty strong. I can't complain.
Good. Good.
I can't complain.
I'm sorry. Is that from you, Liz? Can you change it to gallery view?
Yeah, can you change it to gallery view for everybody?
It is gallery view,
Okay.
at least what I'm seeing. Are you guys all seeing all of us?
I had to just change mine to gallery view.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I only see 6 people.
Yeah, you see
Fine.
the 6 of us. Okay. And Sarah and Liz are going to drop off.
And Sarah's saying she can't change her view as an attendee.
Oh, she's an attendee.
Yeah.
You can change it because you're the
You're-
admin right now.
You're the host right now, Cynthia.
What?
I made you the host.
You're going to make me the host?
I already did.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Well, I'm Pat Sajak, and I can only call the contestants. So.
So are you sure you made me the host? Because it's not saying that I am the host. It's saying,
Yeah, mine says that you are the host.
okay, I just never saw a time when. It gave it to me. Here. Okay, no, never mind. Sorry. Is that better?
Sarah said good. Yes. Sarah says yes. Cool. All right, that's why we're here early to fix stuff. Cool.
So Norris, when are you going to not be bored and start your?
Oh, probably not until after the 20th of March.
Yeah.
That's just a rough figure. I might
Yeah,
start some stuff in the greenhouse earlier. It all depends on the weather. When
Right.
I've started stuff early, but I end up spending so much time and energy on trying to keep the greenhouses warm that it doesn't really work out. It's better to wait till later till it warms up and then go into it like that. For me, let me put it that way. For me,
Sure.
that's the way it has been.
Sure.
So I'm just waiting. It's a waiting game.
Did we
It's a
just
waiting
lose TC?
game, right?
We lost TC and gained Jesse. Hi, Jesse.
All right.
Hey, Jesse.
Hi, Jesse. I'm gonna
See
call
you.
TC here. And see where he could be. So I'm gonna mute myself. So do you all know each other? Norris and Jesse and Alexander, and Tefira is gonna join soon.
But she'd be on in a couple minutes.
So Jesse, I was
I don't know
saying,
Jesse. I know
Oh.
Alexander.
And
We're kind of related by marriage. Alexander and I are kind of related.
is
We
that
sure
what-
are.
Married.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yep.
And in other ways too. I know most of his aunts and uncles, his grandparents. Yes.
Norris, it was funny. My dad was telling a story the other day about at your dad's house hammering out nails to build a house with it. He was like, "Yeah,
Yes.
Norris' dad hammering nails."
Yes.
He was like, "I was a little."
Sounds like my papa. He wanted to keep everybody busy.
Yeah.
And Alex and I met last year for the first time through a mutual friend, everybody's mutual friend, Stephanie. And this is
Yeah.
I've heard tell of Norris for a few years now, and
Oh,
I'm
really?
finally meet him. Yeah, Stephanie
Oh,
and Ryan talk you up big time, sir.
Stephanie and Ryan.
Stephanie Stoffer. And
Okay.
they're market vendors with you.
Yes.
Stephanie and Ryan.
tomatoes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's funny because Stephanie talked about Jesse for years. I finally met you last year.
Okay.
I'd heard tales of Jesse from Stephanie.
How did you and Jesse end up meeting?
We met at an event at Eastern. Who were we seeing? The chef. Oh, what was his name? We met at a talk at Eastern, I believe.
Yeah. Yep. That was the first time. Gosh, I can't remember the name. It's just eluding me right now.
Yeah. It's
Very
like-
good. A good Southern chef.
Yeah. It's like anthropology, social justice, food love, all wrapped into one culture. Yeah. What is his name? It's gonna kill me now. What his name is?
Because I let her talk. I told her, is Abby only if you say you let them talk.
Oh, so I should,
You can tell her she can't talk anymore.
and then she'll disappear?
And then she'll disappear.
But all attendees, when they come in, they'll be seen, right?
No, not unless you let them. All right. We are trying to find out what happened to TC.
okay.
Sarah's now
I'm calling
gone.
him.
That's good. Let's see if I can get Tefira. All right, is everybody feeling good about the format?
Well,
Got all the questions.
we were gonna run through it really quickly. But we lost TC. So I'm calling him, sorry. We lost, oh, there's Tefira. Hello,
Hey,
How's it going?
good. How are you guys?
good.
I am gonna disappear as soon as TC comes back. We lost him for some reason.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
But everybody else is here.
And we lost Jesse too. We just had,
He's still kind of gone. I think he just. That's
so.
No.
So you all don't know Tefira, right?
No, I don't.
So maybe we'll do
No, I don't either.
introductions.
First time meeting for me as well, so that'd be great.
Okay. Will you-
Hi.
I met her, so I don't have to do it. It's somebody else.
Yeah, I think we were all on a call the other day and my phone was acting crazy.
So was mine.
I have a cheap phone service. I got to get it together, but and I got a lot of trees in my area. So so sorry about that. So my name is Tefira. Everybody calls me T. So you're welcome to use either one, whatever floats out your mouth the best. I've been working in urban ag for over 10 years now, where I'm in my 11th year. I did a farm apprenticeship in 2010 in Detroit. And been mostly working with nonprofits, although I did start a community garden in my neighborhood, and I do some some family gardening at home. And so I'm here kind of on the urban garden perspective. I think one of the I work at a nonprofit called Keep Growing Detroit, which provides seeds and plants for folks in the city. So there's about last year there was 2,000 gardens signed up with us. A lot of those people are just gardening in their backyard. So they sign up with us. They get seeds and transplants that we grow at our farm. We grow probably 250,000 transplants a year, along with our partner farms that go out to gardeners all across Detroit. So that means I get to have a lot of great connections with folks in Detroit, a lot of farmers that I meet here in the city. And we do all kind of classes, online classes, and capacity building, hoop house builds, and things like that with folks. And so it's a little bit about me. Is that all the things?
Good to finally meet you.
Yeah, and I've been reading up on you guys. I know you guys I know a little bit about each of you, but I wouldn't mind. I know we're gonna do this a little bit with the audience, but wouldn't mind hearing a little bit about you guys too. I'm not from your area, so
But have you done any work with Malik Bikini and them with the Detroit?
Yeah, I partner with them a lot on a lot of different projects. In fact, one of the projects that we just recently partnered on is called the Detroit Black Farmer Fund, which is what I think Cynthia kind of wanted me to talk about a little bit in this panel. Was we partner with Malik at DBCFSN, which is Detroit Black Community Food Security Network.
Right. I couldn't think of the whole name.
It's a whole mouthful. And so them and another farm down here, we all noticed that it was so much easier for white farmers to purchase land in the city for a number of reasons. And we created this fund for Black folks to have at least the capital support they need. And we're also providing some technical assistance around the land purchases. So, but I partner with Malik a lot. We've done conferences together and all kind of stuff. I'm at his farm quite a bit. My kids went to the school that he founded here in Detroit. So.
In Seroma?
Yeah.
Okay.
So are you and Bob Malik real good friends?
Not any more than just I did that a couple of years ago, that fall harvest thing they had. I brought some produce there to present.
Oh, nice.
I participated in a program they had. That was been about 3 years ago, I think. They always have it every year, fall harvest thing or something, which I think is great. I love it.
Nice.
They've got a nice location there along the River Rouge Valley or whatever along the Rouge Park or whatever there. That's a nice ground to work.
Yeah, they've expanded. I think they're at like 7 acres now out there. So
yeah.
I know that TC. I know his specialty is potatoes. I talked to him. What's your specialty, Norris?
I don't really have a specialty. I would say, if anything, green beans. I don't know why I like green beans. Okay. So tough.
I'll be there then.
I like green beans for the fact that you might be able to do 3 plantings of them in a season. And they're the more labor intensive, but everybody wants green beans, I think. And if you can get them, they just seem to do well for me. Let me put it that way.
You grow the purple
tomatoes
ones
maybe second.
And all that. You grow those purple
yellow
ones?
I mean, there's wax ones, yellow wax, and there's purple ones. Yeah. Some men stick to the green ones though, just the straight up green ones.
Did I just remove you?
How about you, Alex? What's your specialty?
Oh man, we do a little bit of everything, but honestly, I love growing cucumbers. It's one of my favorite
Okay.
things. Oh, it's they it's like a tomato, but they're not hassle to deal with. You know, they produce so much, and they're easy to work with. So I love growing cucumbers. My favorites.
They
How about you?
sell pretty well too.
Oh, here I'm removing.
Oh my. Oh, go ahead, sorry.
Hey, TC, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
I think, are you on your
I'm
phone?
in
and
two
your-
different computers that doesn't.
Oh, there he is.
No, I'm.
But we
on two
see,
different
we hear an
computers because
echo.
one's
You've got to
crashed.
turn one off. You got to turn one of the, mute one of them.
Okay,
Are you having some, were you having some connection issues?
okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
talk a little bit more. Are you echoing? Talk a little bit more.
No, I
TC.
don't think I'm echoing anymore.
Okay, you're good.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, you had me nervous. Where'd you go? You're running the show, dude. Like, I don't have a
That's why-
script for me. Oh my
Well,
gosh.
that's why I turned on the other computer, so that way, in case if this one crashes, I can go to
Okay.
the other one real quick.
Okay, that's great thinking.
Nice.
That's good
Good
thinking.
idea.
So TC, do you want to walk us? We've got about 4 minutes. Do you want to walk us through real quick
Okay,
a little
yes,
bit?
yes, I'm gonna start. Hello, I'm TC from Little Run Acres, and today is a wonderful day. Today is just the beginning. Also, it's a call to action. It's for justice for Black farmers, a local perspective. We want to thank Growing Hope, and we also want to thank the panel tonight for spending their time with us. If anyone has any questions, please put them in the chat box down below, or the chat box, I'm sorry, down below, so that way we can answer those questions at the end of the.
Yeah, we're gonna, if there's time, we're gonna try to have some questions from the audience.
Yes, you want me to keep going?
Well, I don't know if you have to go through the whole thing. We maybe could just talk through, then you're good, the first person you're gonna speak to,
The
and
first,
just the kind of the
okay.
order,
Okay,
if that's
Um,
okay.
I want to talk to everyone tonight, and I want to talk to Tefira. She's from Detroit. She's the co-director of Keep Growing Detroit, and I would like you guys to take a listen to her with her very important information. Then after she gives her information, I'm going to direct it to Jesse Winbush, owner and co-founder of Star Valley Farms of Ann Arbor, Michigan. And once he's done, I'm going to direct it to Alex Ball, owner and farm manager of Old City Acres out of Sumter, Michigan. And when he's done, I'm going to direct it to Nora Stevens, owner and head farmer at Good Medicine Farms and Greenhouse, Saline, Michigan. Then after that, I'm going to ask Tefira if she can talk to us and let us know what is this thing that we keep hearing about, Detroit Black Farmer Fund.
So is this first part, everybody just gets a chance to introduce themselves and maybe like a minute to just say who you are, a little bit background about you as a farmer, or kind of Tefira, like what you were just saying to everybody as you came on. Sorry, and then TC, what were you saying was next?
Oh, I was gonna talk to, let everyone hear about Tefira. She's a co-director, and she's gonna let us know about this thing that we keep hearing about, Detroit Black Farmers Fund. She's gonna talk about that, and then when she's done, she's gonna hand it back to me. And then that's when we talk to each individual farmer about, I'm gonna introduce them. I'm gonna start off with Alex. Then I start off with Jesse, then with Norris. And then I'm going to ask the question about what spiritually motivated you in farming. And then I want to thank you for your questions, and I want to thank you for your answers. And then I'm going to introduce to Cynthia, which is the host, and she's going to let us know about this video about Black farmers legislation.
So what I'm going to do is, so, the idea is that we're hearing both about from farmers in Washtenaw County. We're hearing about some exciting things happening in Wayne County right next door. And then I'm just going to briefly introduce sort of what's happening on the national level. And we decided the easiest way to do that was actually bring the man himself, Cory Booker. He's not coming to the webinar. No.
I was like, whoa, Cynthia, you got connections.
I pulled some strings. He's flying in any moment. No. A recording. So I'm going to share my screen, and it's from a Facebook video that's over an hour long, talking about, and we're going to show 3 or 4 minutes where he's just introducing the legislation, but really more importantly, he introduces the why and why it's important and the history that got us to this point and what this legislation is supposed to address. And then he talks a little bit about, or we just have kind of the first 2 points of the legislation, which are most relevant to the discussion tonight. Then we'll shut that off. And again, we want to go back to sort of reactions from the panel about sort of the obstacles faced here on a local level, or, Wayne County and Washtenaw County, and your own personal experiences. And, just really thoughts about this activity and how the larger community can make a difference and can help. So we're just, again, it's what you think about. So I'm sorry, I'm getting a text. It's 6:30. So I think, and then once that's done, or once we have that, then we're going to open it to questions if there's time. But I think we're good to go. So I don't even, Liz, how do we start it? She's saying it's go time. Do I because people are here. Yes. Okay. So TC, it's 6:32. I think you're on.
Good evening, everyone. My name is TC from Willow Run Acres, also Willow and Ipsy 4-H Club. I want to thank you and let you know that it's a wonderful day. This is just the beginning. Also, this is a call to action, and this is a program that we're going to talk about Justice for Black Farmers, a local perspective. We want to thank Growing Hope and the panel for giving their time for us tonight, where we can listen and understand what they're going through. And also, I want you to feel good about the webinar, and I want you to feel real good and comfortable. If you have any questions, please put them in the chat box down below, so that way we can answer them as best we can at the end of our segment. And to get started, I would like you to know we have a co-director from Keep Growing Detroit. Her name is Defira Rustin from Detroit, Michigan. We also have Jesse Winbush, owner and founder of Star Valley Farms in Ann Arbor, Michigan. We also have Alex Ball, owner and farmer and manager of Old City Acres, Sumter, Michigan. We also have a great gentleman named Norris Stevens, owner and head farmer at Good Medicine Farm and Greenhouse, Saline, Michigan. If you could be one of our panelists,
Mylan.
If we can, we would like to get everyone an opportunity to discuss everything about their organization. And I apologize, Norris, he is from Milan, Michigan. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
Thank you for letting me know. Thank you. Defira from Detroit, could you let us know about that thing that we keep hearing about, the Detroit Black Farmer Fund, please?
Sure. Hey, everybody. So glad to be here. So thank you for having me, Cynthia and TC. I'll tell you a little bit about the organization I work with, and then we can jump into did you want to jump into the Black Farmer Fund now, or? Okay. Okay, cool. So I'm here representing the urban farmers. I'm out of Detroit, and I work at a nonprofit in the city called Keep Growing Detroit. We have a pretty old program that we run. It's called the Garden Resource Program, and so gardeners can come to us for supplies like seeds and plants, similar to Growing Hope, if you're familiar, if you're in the Washtenaw County area. last year we had about 2,000 gardens sign up for those resources. We also do all kind of classes and support getting to market for some of the urban farmers there in the city. Last summer, we partnered with 2 other farms in the city. One is D-Town Farm and one is Oakland Ave Farm. We all came together on a mission to raise funds, capital funds for Black farmers in the city. One of the things that I do at Keep Growing Detroit is I help people acquire land. I've been working with different farmers to support them through the land purchase process. That was very disproportionately white farmers who were able to access those funds, who were able to navigate the system of purchasing land. And so we all came together to support Black farmers through that initial capital expense. So I'll leave it there. I know we're going to get into a lot, but that's the Detroit Black Farmer Fund in a nutshell.
Thank you, Dafira. Thank you so much for that little bit of information, and thank you again. Next, we're going to talk to Alex Ball, owner and farm manager of Old City Acres out of Sumter, Michigan.
Hey, thanks, Stacey. Appreciate it. Yeah, my name's Alex Ball. I own Old City Acres. We are a small diversified vegetable farm that runs 4 seasons. We started in 2013 in Romulus in a backyard with $2,000 in a shovel, very grassroots. And in about 9 years, I built it into a full-time porcine operation that services people in Ypsilanti, Belle Belt, around this area. We do a large amount of CSA and also do farmers market. We've been at the Ypsilanti market now, I think, since 2013. So we've been selling vegetables in the area for quite a while now.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Next, we're going to talk to Jesse Winbush, owner and founder of Star Valley Farms out of Ann Arbor, Michigan.
Hey, everybody. Pleasure to be here. Thanks, TC. Good to see you. Yes, so I am actually a worm farmer. Consider me a livestock farmer. I specialize and raise red wiggler earthworms for the purpose of generating organic fertilizer, worm castings.
Excuse me, Jesse, could you speak up a little bit?
Oh, sure. Let me get a little closer. Sorry about that. Thanks. So yeah, I raise red wiggler earthworms for the purpose of composting and generating organic fertilizer. So my main clientele is actually farmers in the greater area. I work with them in educating them on how to do what I do with the worms and medium to large scale operations to support agricultural, or I'm sorry, organic production, food production. So, and so I've been worm farming my entire life, but I decided to go into business locally in about 2010 as well. Sounds like Tefera and I got our starts around the same time. So yeah, it's been a challenge, but this is just the right place to try kind of the unique endeavor of worm farming. Ann Arbor is very receptive to green thinking. So I found my niche and I'm glad to be here. Thanks.
Thank you, Jesse. Thank you so much. Next, I would like everyone to hear Nora Stevens, owner and head farmer of Good Medicine Farm and Greenhouse out of Milan, Michigan.
All right. Good to be here. Good to see everybody. I'm glad to meet. I haven't met many of you people before, but anyway, I run a small operation, probably 12 acres of produce that I do, and I mainly tailor my endeavors to work in the farmers markets. I mainly sell at the farmers market here at Ypsi, Allen Park, Lincoln Park. You know, those around, and I do pretty much all the kind of produce that people eat. Tomatoes, like I said, green beans, peppers, squash, summer squash, winter squash, okra, which is another specialty thing that I do. People always say, oh, you can't grow that in Michigan. Yeah, well, you can. It's not easy, but you can do it. and watermelon from time to time. All it depends on the season. From season to season, is everything is different. That's one thing I learned about dealing in agriculture. It's never the same. It's not boring. Year after year, it's something different, you know. And leafy green vegetables like kale and turnip greens and mustard greens and collard greens, things like that. And that's pretty much the story. I just grow for the pretty much sell at farmers markets. Been doing it for a long time. When people say, "Why are you doing it?" I say, "I don't know," and nothing else to do, I guess. But it's a difficult endeavor. Like I said, every year is different, but I enjoy doing it. So there we are. I quickly applaud people in urban agriculture because oftentimes there's a lot of vacant property in the city, these urban areas, any of the urban areas, Ypsi, all of them, that you could use. And I grew up in Detroit till the age of 5, and back in the day when I grew up, everybody else have gardens at their house. You know, one of my grandparents lived on the west side of Detroit. They call almost in the deer, and she had a large garden every year. They used to work. They used to work us, but I can see why she had it because it was 6 or 8 of us living there, children and grandchildren, and so in order to feed them, you do that, you know. So, but like I said, when I was really pleased when Coleman Young was mayor, they had that Farm a Lot program, which I thought was great. It's good that we're continuing it. You know, Malik is doing that kind of thing, and you guys are too. Or Keep Growing Detroit is that? And with Keep Growing Detroit, was that the one your offices used to be on Forest Street? Is that, or is that something else? You guys just moved recently or something?
Yes, sir. Yep.
All right. I guess that's what I'm going to say right now. I don't want to take up everybody's time. But there we are. I've been doing this for quite a while. I think I've been doing the farmers market since 88 or 89 or something like that.
89. Mm-hmm.
Okay, you got me right.
Long time.
Yes. So yes, it's a great thing. I think it's lovely. But do nothing else.
I'd like to
have
ask
any
you one
other
question.
Yeah.
Oh.
So
I'd like to ask you, Norris, and the rest of the panel.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, I would like to ask you a question. What spiritually motivated you into farming?
Spiritually, you said?
Yes. What spiritually motivated you?
I would have to say
into farming?
I'd have to say my grandparents. I had to say my grandparents on both sides, my dad's side and my mom's side, because they came north out of rural agricultural societies in the South, and a lot of them moved to urban areas, and a lot of them just lived like here in the city, like in urban areas, like they lived when they was down south in the country. I mean, they used to can stuff. Mainly, they didn't do freezing and stuff like that, but they would grow food in the garden and whatnot and put it away for the winter and whatnot like that, So I was familiar with it. I only lived with my grandparents like for 5 years, each one, on and off. But even on after I started school, I still spent summers with them, and we did that kind of thing. So I would say from them, from the ancestors.
Thank you.
The ancestors.
Thank you. Jesse, I would like to ask you the same question. What spiritually motivated you into farming?
I'm a copycat because same thing. My grandparents, my grandmother Maggie Pipkins specifically. I was born and raised out on the East Coast, out in Boston, and by the time I came around, my grandparents had settled in Cape Cod, Massachusetts. Not the fancy part. Don't get it twisted. They were in a Buzzards Bay, Cape Cod, Massachusetts. Very industrial, or not industrial, but very blue collar. A lot of fishing community there. And my grandfather was in the Air Force and stationed at Otis Air Force Base when he retired. So right up until his retirement. So that's where I knew my grandparents from, was the Cape. But originally they were from Shreveport, Louisiana, and farming down there. My great grandparents were sharecroppers, and just like Nora said, when they came up here, they kept growing. My grandmother never stopped growing food, never stopped growing food. So through her and my mother, you know, she passed that down to her kids. My mother raised me in a garden, you know, in inner city Boston, well, I'm not going to say when exactly, but a long time ago as well. And I'll make it quick. One very vivid memory is my mother started a 4-H group to get the neighborhood kids into a garden. And so we were notorious for her marching like 12, 15 kids, 5 city blocks, carrying all our garden tools up to the closest community garden and gardening for a couple hours, you know, a couple times a week. But we were quite the sight rolling through down, you know, inner city Boston with all this gardening stuff and soil and you know, kids of all sizes and shapes. So from a very young age, I've been exposed to agriculture, but it's, you know, specifically through my grandparents and from the South, you know.
Thank you, Jesse. That was very interesting, and I'm glad that you shared that with us. Zafira, I would like to know what spiritually motivated you into farming.
Sure, I think that's a great question. And I was laughing when you said Cape Cod because I was like, oh, he's fancy. I didn't know we had fancy farmers on here. Yeah, no, just joking with you. But for me, you know, I love to hear those stories of family members. I was you know, growing up in Detroit, I was disconnected from my down south family for sure, for a number of reasons. And I think for me, the reasons, I was always very close with nature. Like I used to go camping as a youngster. I was always like in the dirt and didn't mind being dirty. And I think I've always had this like connection with land that I was able to explore as a youngster. And then for me, as I got into my 20s, it was more of a more of a political than spiritual act that got me into it. I think for me, I was journeying down the path of Black liberation here in Detroit. There's a lot of movements toward that, and understanding like just growing up and understanding what this system was doing to Black and brown folks, and not liking it and wanting to rebel against it. And so I was into a lot of like Black political thought and reparation theory and how do we do this. And that did lead me down some spiritual paths. But in the end, I found that those practices weren't very grounded in practical solutions toward our liberation. And for me, farming is like the first step of, I think the saying goes, if you can feed yourself, you can free yourself, you know? And so as we think about nationhood, as we think about what it means to be free of these systems that oppress us. For me, it was about making that first practical step toward toward liberation, which was feeding myself and my family. And when I first grew sweet potatoes, I was like, "Woo, okay, we got something. I can feed them." So that was I was like, "Oh, I got me a storage crop, and I can maybe make that stretch." And so so for me, it was political, and it was rebelling against this system that's sometimes not fair to Black and brown folks. So
Thank you, Zafira. That was very interesting. Alex, I would like to ask you that same question. What spiritually motivated you into farming?
Thanks, DC. Yeah, I started farming when I was 18, 19, and I had a little quarter life crisis, I like to say. When I was 18, I was like, man, what am I going to do with my life? You know, what am I going to do with all my time? And I'm from Romulus, and I live in downtown. And for those familiar with it, we have a Senior Towers next to a grocery store. And when I was in high school, the grocery store closed down. And an 18-year-old, I was like, who will feed those seniors? How will they get food? Who will provide for them? So I said, okay, I'll start growing food and I'll become a farmer, and quickly realized that, oh no, I need help. I need someone to help me run this business. I need help surviving myself. It was kind of ironic, but I first got interested because I saw that I saw that need, the demand for fresh food, and I wanted to make a change. I wanted to figure out how I could be part of that. And when you're 18, don't know anything. Oh yeah, I know how it fits. Food deserts and food access. I'll start a farm, and end up being a lot harder, a lot more complex down the road. But it all started with that want and that desire to help people in the community and actually feed people in the community. Because sadly, local farming, a lot of it is growing from your community, then moving it to a higher, to a higher income community you sell it to. It's moving it from where it's produced somewhere else, someone who will pay a higher price for it. And I've been trying since the very beginning to find a way to grow food and sell food in the community that I live in that matches who I am. People who look like me, who has money like me, who aren't, financially, in a higher income bracket. So that's kind of been my passion, is feeding people around me profitably, without breaking the bank and jacking up prices, trying to be more relatable.
Thank you, Alex. That was very informative, and we really appreciate that. And briefly for myself, what spiritually motivated me into farming is that I had the opportunity to work along with my two great grandfathers and two great grandmothers from the 60s all the way up into the 80s, to the time that they passed away. And we cultivated different varieties of cotton, different colors of cotton, from the green to the red to the brown cotton. Also different varieties of tobacco, sugarcane, sorghum, sweet potatoes and yams, and different varieties of heirloom okra. So those two things helped me to keep going on that path, to keep the family tradition going on. So we are the 6th generation, and I'm still carrying that on for my next generation. So Cynthia,
Yeah.
could you please give us some information about the Black Farmers legislation, please?
Sure. Thanks so much, all of you. Thank you to the panelists and TC for doing such a great job. And thank you for being here tonight. Tefira, do you mind, before I talk about some of the stuff happening on the national level, you talk a little bit more about the fund and really sort of, what happened with it, what your goal was, what did that and where you hope to see it go from here?
Sure, I didn't want to take too much time in the intro, but sure. So we launched the first year on Juneteenth, which is if you're not familiar with Juneteenth, is a holiday celebrating Black liberation, and we had a goal of raising $5,000 here in Detroit. You can get a side lot or for in the $500 range. And so we thought, okay, we'll help a few farmers get a few lots. We have a number of farmers who, in Detroit, we have a number of farmers who are, there's an abandoned lot, like Norris mentioned, there's an abandoned lot down the street. I want to do something with it. I want to make it more beautiful. I'll start a garden on it. Not always owning the property. So you have farmers that then they start growing on it, and then they get on that level like Alex, they get bigger and bigger and bigger, right? And then but they never own the property. So we had a number of farmers in that situation. And that's just, I'm like, for a couple $1,000s, you can own this property, and you will have more security as the Detroit is starting to develop more, right? We all know that Detroit has been hit economically, but there are some development happening that's making it harder and harder for people to purchase land, right? And so we wanted to make sure that those farmers secured it. We started with the goal of $5,000. We said, we'll do a GoFundMe. We'll get a couple people some lots. But the community really, really turned out. We ended up raising $65,000 in 2 months.
Whoa.
Yeah, Nora's smiling, right? I didn't know that we was gonna get that. Okay, I was looking for $5,000 to help a couple farmers. So we as a committee, we launched an application for people to apply. We had 60 plus people apply for funding for their farm projects here in the city. We were able to, I'm in strong communication with our Detroit Land Bank here. So I was able to go through and get an estimated cost for some of those properties. And we ended up dwindling it down to 30 recipients based on their application, based on their likelihood of success, based on the trainings that they had to be able to take the money and run with it, basically. And so right now we're in the process. February, we just got our first 5 people their deeds. We have got 25 more to go before spring. Here in Detroit, it's a little bit of a lengthy process. So that's where we are. We are able to award 30 farmers capital funds to purchase the property that they're gardening on or want to garden on. And so really excited, really proud of that work, because it's something that a need that we had in the city for a long time, for that kind of equity to happen.
That's awesome. Do you hope to open the fund back up and keep raising more fund? I mean, you hope to do this again?
Yeah, good question. So we're going to launch again this Juneteenth. We're going to do a year 2 and see how it goes. We've already got a pledge of $40,000 from a foundation to support this. And so we anticipate being able to help another 30, 40 more farmers next year. So we're really super proud and super excited for that work.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, as TC mentioned, I'm also going to, some interesting things are happening on the national level. Senator Cory Booker in December introduced a Justice for Black Farmers legislation. And there's some hope that with the change in the administration that there could be some movement on it. So we wanted to bring that into the conversation and decided probably the easiest way to do that was to hear directly from him. So no, I was teasing the panelists earlier. I did not get Cory Booker to come to our webinar, and TC, he couldn't do it either. So, but we have a recording. It's from a much larger or much longer video that goes for an hour, but we're just going to show about 3-4 minutes that talks about the why for the legislation, kind of the history, which is really important, and then just some I mean, it's a very comprehensive bill, but some kind of main points. So I'm going to share my screen and start the video, and then we'll continue our discussion. Thanks. So I hope I'm going to share my screen.
I'd like to do in very brief remarks is convey really 2 things. Number one, that we have a serious and well-documented history
Cynthia, it could be just me, but I'm not hearing a sound on that.
Yep. Okay.
There were nearly
my
1
fault, sorry.
million Black farmers in the United States of America.
I'm going to back it up here once a little bit. Sorry about that.
And 2, that we need to, in fact, we have a plan to do something about it significantly. We know the history. In 1920, there were nearly 1 million Black farmers in the United States of America. Today, there are less than 50,000 Black farmers left in the United States of America. And since 1920, it's estimated that Black farmers, Black families, lost nearly 20 million acres of farmland and all the wealth and income that goes along with that. But this did not happen by accident, and it was not a choice on the part of those farmers. The loss of millions of acres of farmland worth hundreds of billions of dollars was primarily caused by systemic racism and discrimination within the USDA against Black farmers, with the majority of the land loss happening since 1950. It is past time that we acknowledge that injustice, and it's past knowledge that we get working on making a change within the USDA and having the USDA address the land loss suffered by Black farmers. That's why I've been focusing for many months now on working with Black farmers and advocates to draft a comprehensive piece of legislation to address the history of discrimination. And I'm proud last month to introduce the Justice for Black Farmers Act along with Senator Elizabeth Warren and Senator Kirsten Gillibrand. There are too many provisions in this comprehensive bill designed from the grassroots up to really talk about it all, but I want to give you a quick overview of this piece of legislation. The bill has 4 main pillars. The first pillar of the bill is putting reforms in place within the USDA to protect farmers and ranchers from discrimination moving forward. Specifically, the bill would create an independent civil rights oversight board whose responsibilities will include deciding appeals of any civil rights complaints filed against the USDA. The bill also puts direct reforms in place within the USDA Office of Civil Rights, including placing a moratorium on USDA foreclosures against any farmer who has a civil rights complaint pending with the USDA. The bill will also create an equity commission to recommend additional reforms that may be needed, including reforms to the USDA county committees, which we know have historically been a source of significant discrimination. The second pillar of the bill is putting protections in place so that the remaining Black farmers that are left do not lose their land. To protect Black farmers, the bill creates a new federally chartered bank to provide Black farmers with access to operating loans and financing on favorable terms. The bill would also forgive debt for any Black farmer who filed a claim in the first Pigford lawsuit. We have received a lot of feedback from Black farmers that along with this debt forgiveness, the legislation needs to address both federal and state tax liability and also needs to provide for refunds of offsets where USDA has seized tax refunds and Social Security and other payments to pay off debt that would have been canceled long ago. And we will be making changes to the bill before we reintroduce it in the next year to make sure that this is addressed.
Okay, so as I said, it goes on for an hour. I'd really recommend panel or listeners to look it up. It is on Facebook, and follow the progress of this legislation. It's being reintroduced with the new session. But I wanted to turn it back to UTC and the rest of the panelists to talk a little bit more about sort of thoughts with what's happening in Wayne County and what TEPFIRA has been able to achieve and what's happening on the national level, and maybe how it relates to you or your past or your lived experience.
Thank you, Cynthia. I have a question for the panel. And please take in consideration the way I ask it. What obstacles have you faced as a farmer, as an entrepreneur in Wayne or Washtenaw County? And TEPFIRA, I'd like you to go first, please.
I think, as I mentioned, I think the biggest obstacle that farmers here in Detroit face, sorry, I got my little guy in the background making a fuss, was the land acquisition, and some of that is the capital fund that we started, but also there are a number of city policies that need to be renewed, and there needs to be a one of the obstacles I think urban farmers face is that the city hasn't totally gotten behind the idea of urban farming. We kind of are holding on to possible development beyond farming. And so that presents an obstacle because there's policies that kind of hinder urban farming from happening. For example, urban farming wasn't technically legal until 2013 in the city. when the urban ag ordinance was passed. We also we can't do any animal husbandry here in the city legally, at least. A lot of people are doing it, but it's not legal. So you get tickets for it. So I think policy for urban farmers in Detroit is one of the biggest hurdles, along with the capital to purchase their property.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Alex, I'd like to ask you that same question.
Yeah, so when I started my very first farm, I was out there working hard, and a man walks out of the woods. He says to me, "Alexander, we're building a pipeline through here next summer. So you're gonna get paid for this, but we need to move your farm." And I ended up moving farms, pipeline the first time, second time, bad land lease, third time, people only give you a month lease. So not being able to have a land access was the biggest hurdle. And I finally told myself, I said, I'm going to throw a Hail Mary. I bought greenhouses, put them in storage, said this year I'm going to go find farmland. And if I can't find farmland, I'm going to sell greenhouses, I'm getting out of the business. And when I finally, after a year and year of searching, I finally found one piece of farmland in my budget, which was not much. I couldn't get loans for it. No one will give money to people to buy vacant land, to buy farmland. So I went to our USDA, the Farm Service Agency, and I made an appointment. And I drove an hour and a half to meet my agent in the middle of nowhere, only to find out that because I can qualify for other types of credit, that they couldn't give me a low interest loan. So now, instead of taking these people who they say we want to support urban agriculture, we want to support young farmers, support young Black farmers, instead of giving them routes to land ownership, routes to prosperity, it forces you to then go to get high interest loans, either through credit cards or through personal loans, when you should be getting 2% agricultural loans from the government. So luckily, I was able to get help from Greenstone Farm Credit Service. I'm not plugging them, but they're the only people I found who give money to young farmers to buy land. So not only was finding the land itself a problem, which is hard because of high land prices, but kind of like Tafir said, that capital to even purchase a piece of land is the boundary. And then once you purchase that land, to develop that land into a profitable farm, to a profitable business, takes so much capital that you're just having to you're selling vegetables to survive. I think after I bought my piece of farmland, I put upwards of $70,000 into it, between greenhouses, irrigation systems, places to wash produce, places to store things, coolers. So at the very end, the cost to have a working farm has been almost a small home. So unless we can start empowering people, start giving people infrastructure, capital, land access with long-term loans, we're not going to get kicked out. I was at one point on month-to-month loans at multiple places, and you cannot build a farm on month-to-month loans. It pushes into a situation where you have so many unknowns with Mother Nature. You have so many things happening constantly that you can't control, the market can't control. Not having land be stable, it will just push you over the edge, and it will topple so many young businesses. We truthfully just need places like Tilly, like Ann Arbor. We need places, incubators, where young farmers can try farming, can learn about farming, can see if you're making a business before they have to spend $100,000 in infrastructure to really get to get involved. So really, like Tafira said, it's purely a capital issue. It starts right there. It's capital with racism on top of it. But if that capital is not there, you can't do anything. So that's definitely the hardest part about it.
Can you guys hear me? Can you hear me? Thank you. Thank you, Alex. That was very great. And I apologize for that. I have connection issues. Jesse, could you ask that question also, if you don't mind? What was the obstacles that you went through?
Sure. The obstacles I've gone through and continue to go through and really see no end in sight are just the same ones Alex had mentioned. Primarily land access.
Okay, I got it.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, primarily and land access and funding. I'm pretty jaded. I know the cold hard reality is, and this isn't hard to assume, but I'm never going to own land in Ann Arbor. It's just not going to happen. So long-term implications for me is I'm going to have to relocate at some point if I want to expand. And currently I've changed my business plan several times since I started, and the current rendition is based specifically on the fact that I don't own land. I piggyback on existing land, on existing farms. I offer contracts in system builds in education, teaching people what I want to do for myself on my own land. You know what I mean? But it's kind of a hard pill to swallow. But at the same time, I'm very invested in the industry that I'm specifically in. It's a very noble endeavor. There's some really great ecological and environmental benefits aside, but the cold hard fact is, it's kind of a strange feeling when like I'm never going to be able to fully put down roots where I live, and witness other people do that, and witness other people come in and do that before you. It's a strange feeling.
Thank you.
And then, and then just really quickly, I gotta mention the whole grant game is, I'm so sick of that. I don't know what to tell you. I'm about ready to just go full on, playing Powerball in lottery, because the chances are better and it's easier. But the culture around grant funding and getting grants is just really cutthroat. And I think we waste a lot of time, and a lot of noble and worthy organizations and farmers and farm outfits are they're brushed to the side in this ridiculous fight for the crumbs that are being trickled down. So I'm gonna get off my soapbox, let somebody else talk. But yeah, land access and funding, definitely.
I felt that, Jesse. Now I'm gonna give you a pound.
Wow, I lost
TC.
audio. Oh, there we go.
Norris,
You're in.
I would like to ask you that question also.
I got here listed lack of information on different programs that are available through the USDA, not necessarily the Farm Service Agency, but the Natural Resources Conservation Service. It's just like I got this. I always use this as an example. I got this greenhouse on my place now, and it was under I forget the name of the program, but it was under. Okay, but a lady that was a market manager here in Ypsi, I can't think of her name. Sarah was her first name. I can't remember her name. But she wrote me a letter, actually said, Norris, you need to check in with your local NRCS people, which is, I'm in Monroe County, which is, down the way a little bit, about, these programs that are available. So I said, I finally got the nerve or the courage to go down there and ask, what's going on. And the guy, I said, I want to know about this particular program. And the guy said, well, where you been? So I said, now he's supposed to be my representative for this area from Monroe County. He never let me know that this particular program was available. And it was a greenhouse that was free. It was free from the National Resources Conservation Service. All I had to do was give them my bank account number. They deposited $1,500 in my account for a down payment on this greenhouse. And when I got it erected in operation, maybe 3 months later, 6 months later, boom, they sent the rest of the money to me and I paid it off. But like I said, this particular lady named Sarah knew about this program. I didn't. I don't know whether I'm supposed to keep it. Now, they used to send out bulletins from the office, the USDA office in each county, because each county has one. But I hadn't never got no information about that. And the guy showed me a pamphlet that they said it was available. And I looked at the pamphlet and I couldn't make heads or tails where it said anything about a greenhouse or about it was free. So I say, biggest thing is lack of information on different government programs. There's government programs out there, not necessarily to buy land that I'm not, you know, they might be, I don't know. But these other things, like I'm working on an irrigation system now for my farm, and it's going through this National Resources Conservation Service again. But I never got any information about it. In fact, wait a minute, I had applied for this program maybe 3 years ago, and they just called me this last January, to let me know that it was we got your application, you know, and we're willing to work with you. Well, after I got in touch with them, they sent a guy out 2 days in a row to do measurements and see what I want to do, you know. So I'm in the process of doing it now, but it's just lack of information, I think, for my part. And that's been probably since I've been involved with the USDA from the very beginning. I remember the first time I went there to register my farm, and there was a lady there, people that worked in the office there, and the lady was, you know, giving me necessary forms to fill out and whatnot. And another lady came from the back, and she was very nasty. She said, we just can't let anybody apply for these programs. You have to prove that you own this land. Well, it set me back, you know, because I mean, you know, I hadn't really been used to that. But I went and did the necessary things to get involved. But that was years ago. That was like, when did I move there? In the 70s, late 70s. I moved to that farm, and I imagine things have changed somewhat now. I don't know, but still, there's a lack of information. Getting it out to me or to people like me that look like me. You know, at one time, every season, somebody would come out from the office to get with you, Norris, what do you need? And we're going to look at your farm and this, that, and the other. But they haven't done that in the last 8 years, I don't think. So, lack of attention, lack of information. I think that's it.
Okay, thanks, Norris. TC, how are you doing there?
Yes, I'm trying to keep the feedback from coming in. I want to thank Norris. I want to thank Zafira, Alex, and Jesse with the things that you have gone through. I'm sorry that things are like that for you guys. I'm going through them myself, but you guys are a living struggle for us all to learn.
TC, if you mute your other one, that might help. Sorry. We have some questions from the audience, I guess it is, that maybe I could throw out there for all of you. One I thought was just a quick one. How can I start getting farm experience?
Oh.
Into a farm, huh? I'm sure you all could use the help.
I was about to say, contact Jesse, Alex, and Norris.
Yeah, that's probably
I'm
right.
sure.
You know,
I'm sure that.
I'm saying that every season, at the beginning of the season, I always get people asking, or during the winter. I say, and I will give them my information, and nobody hardly ever gets in touch with me. So it's the same way with this season coming up.
Check you out, Norris.
You know, we like to do that, and we're gonna come out there and work. Well, and we'll see if they show up. Hey, I always get promises. But
So I have some other a little more serious questions. So one says, do any of the panelists suppose their particular needs or the needs of Black farmers in Michigan may be adequately addressed in Governor Whitmer's administration? Like I said, kind of a heavier one.
What was that again?
Say that again now. Oh, go ahead.
So do any of you suppose that, some of the needs you're talking about, or needs of Black farmer, do you feel that they could be adequately addressed in Governor Whitmer's administration at the state level?
No. Oh, honestly, all these are all time things, right? For me, the FSA agent has more power than anybody in my world.
Yeah.
You know, that person has control of everything in your life. So it's not whether someone outside the state is saying, hey, no, we got to stop this. It's whether that person has changed or not. Because when a system is based on not a group deciding whether you get money or not, but one person, it doesn't really matter what the person up top says. The person at the bottom will always, do what they say. So no, I
mean that like that. It's that front agency.
Yeah, that direct one-on-one connection. Norris mentioned about something, how in it took them 3 years to get a hold of you about this irrigation project. And farming is a business that dies in the season. It dies month to month. If you have a really bad year, I've seen farms open and close in my 9 years being here, and you need quick access to funds. And I don't see any way how that's going to fix that, and that's 4 years in the same in a crazy way.
Yeah, my thought is that the issues are systemic and not and that means that it's hard to put your finger on it, basically. So I agree with Alex.
I think that some of the USDA departments that they have need to merge together because there's an overlap with different departments. And if you take the 23 departments that's in the USDA and combine the most important ones, so that way it won't be so many doors you have to go through, it will streamline and update and modernize the efficiency of asking for help. Because when you got to go through 23 different doors and ask for help, and you get 22 doors closed on you, then that's where the problem is.
Yeah, it makes you have to submit to the public, to banks. It does. It makes you kneel to them and their interest rates. When you see other farmers, predominantly white farmers, getting 3% interest, 3% interest rates for 30-year margin on a piece of farmland, and you can't get $15,000 to buy vacant land to literally save your life. So it really puts a power in someone else's hand that's not yours.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a question that came through from something that maybe you can address, like that. How can white allies best support farmers of color in our community? I mean, what could we do? What can the community at large do? That's a big one.
I want to go back to that one farm bill. I think it was 2008, where they really opened up these different programs for small farmers. And before that, all the money had been going to the the grain producers and the milk producers, corn, soybeans, wheat, like that. All the kind of funds and all the programs were directed toward them. And like I said, I'm going to say about information again, because I remember, like I said, I had my farm registered many years ago, and they sent a bulletin out one time, a written bulletin through the mail or whatever, that it was a program for grain farmers where you could put on-farm grain storage on your farm, and it was very low interest rates on this thing. You know what I'm saying? And they made that information readily available to all the grain people. I wasn't a grain person, but I was on the list, so I got included. But like I say, with this greenhouse thing, there was no such thing put out about that. Since they opened it up to minorities, and I'm including women and all minorities into this. They seem there's been a lack of information that's been getting to us about these different programs that are available. So.
Do any of you?
I don't want to be.
Another question somebody had. Oh, I'm sorry. Was somebody else going to talk? I didn't mean to interrupt there.
No, I just started something. Go ahead.
Well, I think, Norris, the access to information is a really key one, and understanding where the information comes from, and how you can follow through on the requirements to receive the funding. So along those lines, I mean, are you all familiar with the farmland purchasing programs, in Ann Arbor or Ypsilanti? Is there any sort of program like that you? Yeah.
I don't believe so.
One of the things that the USDA says that if you're going to own or purchase land, you have to have a good credit score, and you almost have to have a 690 to a 730 credit score to actually walk into the door. And you cannot have a bankruptcy. You cannot have no charge offs, and that really hurts a lot of startup farmers, because a lot of people don't have 680 to a 730 credit score to apply for a lot of these grants or loans, and many of them are loans that it hurts the small farmer. So if they could change the credit score criteria to just say the bare minimum, or just start off from scratch and just say, come on in, let's see what you got. Let's see, you can see what we have, and let's be 50-50 towards each other, because if you, that credit score, it hurts a lot of new farmers.
Yeah.
And if you have bankruptcies or if you have college debt, that hurts you also. So those things hurt the new farmer trying to get loans from the USDA.
So maybe one last question here, and then given the time to maybe then wrap it up. But I thought it was really relevant. It says, do any of the panelists have ideas of how we can attract young people, in particular African-American youth, into various farming careers?
Yeah, if you don't mind, I'll take this one. You have to prove profitability. You have to show that people can live normal lives, can raise families, can not destroy themselves. Because I don't say this in a braggadocious way. I gave every single thing my life for 9 years to just have, to have a very tiny vegetable farm and sacrifice every single thing. And if we want people to become farmers, they can't sacrifice everything in their lives to get this. They need to be able to dedicate, there's risk, to put money and time into it, but there has to be some safe places to build these businesses. So, like I said earlier, we have to have incubator programs. Like you look at the Tillian incubator program in Ann Arbor, where multiple full-time farms now have been born out of the incubator program. So there needs to be a safe place where young people can come, or people, all people can come together and learn agriculture and not have to risk all their money.
Yeah.
Don't have to, go bankrupt trying to start a vegetable farm. Can come in and learn, and then go on and change their communities.
Yeah, no, thanks, Alex. And there's a follow-up question to that. Jesse, did you want to say something? Were you leaning forward there?
No.
Oh, okay.
I'd like to say something on that one, if you don't mind, real quick.
For sure.
To get young kids involved, it starts at home. It starts with the families themselves, if they want their children to learn about agriculture. And it also that if they can support young farmers that are in schools or in preschool, and farm to table and farm to school programs, because these programs are in some of the schools already. It's just that we just got to get the word out there for volunteers to come on and over and say, hey, you know what? We have an after school garden program. Come and learn about it. It's quick and easy, and it's right there at some of the schools and some of the preschools.
Yeah. So another question that came in that is really my question, and part of the reason TC and I really wanted to do this webinar is we're just curious. The question is, curious to hear from the panelists what they would think of a Black Farmer Land Fund here in Washtenaw County.
I think that'd be great.
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
A lot of great ideas.
It's very good that we have one in Washtenaw County, and specifically in the Ypsilanti Ann Arbor area, because this is a diverse college-driven community, and there are college students that have kids, and that is another thing that we can get single parents involved in agriculture.
I would love that.
Yeah.
And I would love to support that effort. And I think when one person asked about what can white farmers do to help, I think that's one of the most beautiful things about the fund is that it kind of goes beyond kind of the waiting for government support. It's like direct community support, and I would say the majority of the contributors to the, not all, but a lot of the contributors were other white farmers in the city who also saw that disparity and wanted to do something about it, and they put their dollars toward it. Another good example, I think me and you were talking about this, Cynthia, I'm not sure, is in upstate New York, they have a program where you can, white farmers can actually give away their land to Black farmers. So there's like a direct reparations fund there through Soulfire Farm. Programs like that where it makes it easy for that restitution to happen. I think are awesome.
Awesome.
And whatever I can do to support the growth of one here would be great too.
Cool.
Yes, I'm gonna have to say that my operation that I run, I couldn't really move it forward without cooperation from at least 3 other white farmers in my area that live close to me that I deal with, and it goes beyond business. I think that I don't know whether it's sympathy that they show me or admiration that I'm doing something that, you know, different. But yeah, it's cooperation whenever you can get it from whoever. It's great. I think, you know, whatever level you can get it on, just verbal encouragement sometimes is good. Yes.
Oh, I'd like to just chime in on the, you know, what can allies do to support farmers of color? You know, education, you know, history, you know, learn about the wealth of history in black farming, you know. 36 million acres of land lost, you know, that wasn't all bad farmers, you know. You know, there was something systemic had to be going on. That's 690 something thousand acres of land per year for 58 years lost. You know, do some research, try to find out how that happened, you know, and try to find out ways to undo it. You know, we measure what we care about. So
the last 4 or 5 years I have been going to these different farmers conferences during the wintertime farmers conferences, mainly the one at Tuskegee University, and they have 2. And I was really impressed. One gentleman came up and was telling the story about how his family lost a lot of property, farmland they had, and these people had beat them out of the land. His granddad couldn't read or write or nothing like that. And they had him sign the land over. He didn't know what he was doing. He had to make a mark because he couldn't read or write, you know. And but you know, the gentleman, he's the 3rd generation down, and he witnessed that going down and losing the property like that in land. And he didn't seem to be he said, you know, there's got these new government programs now, and we should try to take advantage of them now. You know, not that it's going to make up what happened in the past, but they seem to be trying to do that. You know, so we should be aware of what happened in the past and look forward to the future. I think. Because there's been a lot of bad things happening in the past, and a lot of bad things still happening now. But hey, you can't dwell on them. He told a really funny story, this gentleman did, and I didn't want to try to repeat it, you know, like a time here. But he was saying, you know, we just got to get up and don't worry about what happened then and move on. So yes, there are programs out there, government programs. I don't know about, you know, purchasing land and stuff like that, but there are other ones out there that you can take advantage of. And I think this urban farming is a great thing because it's probably more acreage available in some of these urban areas than it is in rural areas for you to be dealing with.
Yeah.
So yes.
Well, folks, it's 7:33. TC, do you want to wrap it up here or have some final words and thanks? But I'm gonna let TC finish here, but I really just wanted to sincerely thank all of you, Norris and Alex and Jesse and Tafira. I wish we had more time to talk, but you know, this is just the beginning. I think some of the ideas coming out of here, we need to act on and want to move forward on. Change is in the air and we need to grab it and do our part. But thank you for your time tonight. It's really just to introduce this subject and really educate people out there. We had a lot of attendees. We had well over 100 attendees. So the word's getting out about just fascinating what you did, Tafira, in Wayne County, and you know, at a bigger level, what's happening nationally. But what really matters for growing up in here is what's happening in Washington County and what can be done, and what can we learn, and how can we act. So TC, take it away.
Thank you, Cynthia, and thank you, Growing Hope, for allowing this meeting tonight for everyone to learn. This is not the end, but this is the beginning of a new start. Hopefully, we can have more meetings like this to discuss more sensitive topics, to let the community know what things are out there and that needs to be put on the table. I want to thank Norris personally, Jesse. I want to thank Alex and Thafira. You guys doing wonderful work. I want to God bless you all. And everyone that's on the panel, thank you very much. And also the guests, thank you very much. And have a great night. Bye-bye.
Take care, everybody.
Bye. Ja Rastafari, yes. Yes, Ja Rastafari.